And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. And this is Lovely Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, your number one African Caribbean online radio, folks. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today, being Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, what you expect is Voices of the Millennials. Well, looking at me, folks. We all want to be millennials at some point in time. But hey, you always grow young so far as you are alive. And today, I'm sitting in Temperance briefly for Elle. You know, the weather in Toronto is not that pretty. So she's crawling her way into the studio. And before she comes up, we have a very special guest for you. Yes, Half.
Peace, peace, peace. What's
That's
up,
right.
TYB?
Yeah. I'm great. It's not pleasant out there. And I know that, you know what, people are struggling to get back home after a hard day's work. But what is more important is that it's a Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday, and then we'll be inching towards the weekend.
That much closer to Saturday. Yo.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, folks, this is Half. Half, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, how y'all doing? I am an MC, first and foremost, a multidisciplinary artist, an event runner, and just a human being, you know? I love music. That's been my passion. It's been a lifelong journey for me. And I mainly dabble in hip hop, but I bring a lot of other influences in there. I love jazz, so that influences a lot of my sound. And yeah, I just love good conversation. So I'm here today with you.
All right, you're the right place. Yes, my first question will be, how did you get into music, as we say? How did you get into it? Was it from the family structure, or how did you get into it?
Well, I don't come from artists, but I, like most people, come from a family that does love music. So I had the benefit of being exposed to it from young. I'm actually half black, half white myself. I'm half Guyanese and half Irish, to be specific. So I was able to have...
United Nations.
Exactly.
Oh, my United Nations.
Exactly. And so I was able to have the influence from both sides. So I had very different tastes. You know, on the white side, there's country and folk music, even some reggae in there. And then on my father's side, my Guyanese side, I was introduced to hip hop and jazz and chutney and soca and dub and all that good stuff. And so from young, I remember my dad picking me up every other weekend. He would come in his old Ego Talon coupe, and he'd just be bumping Wu-Tang or Slick Rick. And I just it was immediate, you know, fall in love, you know, the melodies, the production, the way these wordsmiths came together with their lyrics. I was hooked from a young age.
Yeah. Myself too. You know, I come from a musical background. My father was an instructor teaching African music and drumming and stuff like that at the University of Ghana, and I picked it up. My drumming skills was picked up from him, and with my musical side, my vocal side was from my mother. You know, she was she was in the women's choir at the Anglican Church back home in Ghana. So I picked little bits and pieces of that from. I mean, that has brought me where I am. My next question to you would be, in your line of work, production and all those kind of stuff, have you ever gone through any downers? Something that could have kept you said, I give up. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's it. Nada. Finish.
Honestly, TYB, that's most days. I can't even lie to you. I mean, in pursuing anything you love in this life, you're going to run into obstacles, right? And they're going to test your being. And I think that you run into show cancellations, and a musician doesn't show up for a live show. You know what I'm saying? Those things are bound to happen, but I think that it's always a labor of love at the end of the day. So my love for the music and what I do within this industry will always trump all the BS, you know? So when those downers come around, I treat them like, I try to make molehills out of mountains, you know what I mean? So I can step right over them and proceed, moving onward and upward.
On a one-on-one kind of situation, has anybody, how would I put it? Has anybody done something that also, going back into that, has any single person done anything that could have ruined you, that could have made you decide, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to deal with that person anymore. Or, those kind of stuff.
Yeah. I had.
And the follow-up question is, and how were you able to overcome that? And how were you able to resolve that kind of difference with the person?
Got you. So I actually have a lyric from a song of mine called Dewdropper, and it goes something to the effect of, I don't dwell on burnt bridges because I can swim well. That being said,
I like that.
Appreciate you. That being said, I had a bit of a headbutting, if you will, with a radio host earlier this year, actually. Not in this sort of fashion, not in an interview sort of sense, but this person put me on a flyer for an event, and that I was not informed about. And they were using my name as an artist to promote an event that I had no idea about until I saw it being promoted on social media. And so when I confronted them about it, they were also very rude. They could not see my point of view, that it came off as completely unprofessional. And I could tell there was not going to be any compromise. So in that particular sense, not that I go out there looking to burn bridges, but I found that with that particular person, that individual, I weighed out the pros and cons of being able to, continue to have a great relationship with them and be able to utilize their platforms. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna still make it out here. I'll be all right. At the end of the day, if someone has, a certain disdain for you or a complete lack of respect, it's you got to have the foresight to know you might not be able to operate with them in a nice, harmonious way moving forward. So, yeah, with that one in particular,
do you think that it was done purposefully?
That's a good question. I don't want to think too deeply about it. I did go to school for psychology, but that sort of stuff would keep me up all night if I was overthinking.
Yeah. I know how it is.
Yeah.
How, even as an artist myself, sometimes you're going to perform, especially locally. Like you have a place to go and perform, and then you go for sound check, and everybody's there but one person, and that same person always is almost late, and you don't even know whether the person is going to show up.
Right.
But then all the same, so I'm of the school of thought that the show must go on.
Yeah, true.
The show has got to go on.
It's got to.
Whether 2 people, 3 people, 4 people are there, we'll do it. Yes. I've been saying this to people that I was once on March Music during the time where they had, was it Electric Circus or something like that?
Yeah, Electric Circus. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We were performing live there, and strings of the bass player. We were playing live. Strings of the bass player. 3 strings just poof.
Oh no! Yeah.
Right in the middle of that. But then, experience told us that, look, you know what? Don't cut it. They saw it, the production staff. Everybody saw that. We're having problems. I just signaled to them in my little way that don't cut it. So we had to go on a percussion break, and it worked.
Oh, there you go. It just worked out.
It just worked out. So sometimes,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes people will try or events will overtake you.
Yeah.
But then it's up to you to say that, you know what, let me make this decision, because there are certain decisions that you have to make right on the spot.
Exactly.
And if you don't do that, you are in big trouble.
Yeah.
You are in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Um,
In that particular circumstance, I mean, that's not even somebody purposefully, messing up. It's just sort of, an act of God, if you will. And you got to make lemonade out of them lemons, right?
Thank you. Yes, you got to do that. And you know what? And after that, I have come to the realization that if somebody wants to bring you down, you just have to sit back and look at it. Because if you believe in what you're doing, nothing on earth can bring you down.
Yes.
Nothing
I
on
love
earth
that.
can bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, going into it with the MC-ship, if I can put it that way. How did you get into it? Because I wasn't good behind the mic.
Fair enough.
Because somebody will say, you know what, Chiwabi, but you've played for so many, big audiences and stuff like that. I'm a very shy person. Behind the mic, I'm a different person. But then, when you have to do this stuff, you got to do it. But then, with being an MC, it's tough.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it and how you got into it?
Got you. Well, funny enough, I'm what I call myself an extroverted introvert. So naturally, I am a person who likes to be a homebody. I'm shy, but I realize that in this life, in this world, you got to step outside yourself, step outside your walls, and connect with people and really socialize to get out there. So I think it was around 11 years old, I started songwriting. I started, remember LimeWire? You see them use LimeWire. Use a LimeWire to download instrumentals. Child me, I didn't know better. So, don't hold me to it. But I used to download these beats and I would, just rap on them with my cousins. And I think it was finally grade 6 came about, and there's a grade 6 talent show, or the school talent show. It's a little small Catholic school. And I don't know, I worked up some nerve to perform this first song that I wrote. It was very basic. It was definitely nowhere near the quality I'm bringing today. But it was enough that, this audience of my peers, my fellow students, my teachers, they really showed, so much support and so much enthusiasm. I was just up there on the stage with the microphone like, ooh, I like this feeling. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And since then it was, whether I was toasting or hosting school dances or doing coffee houses, anywhere, I like to say when it comes to the mic, I'm like a moth to a light, it's, again, I'm still the natural shy person I was, but it is on stage is a place where, I could really, express my soul. It is therapy for me, like it is for so many others. And, funny enough, I've heard people say, you come off as a completely different being on stage, and I think that it's me tapping into my purely unfiltered, unabridged self. So,
yeah, I can see myself that way. Because like, if I, on my own, even walking on stage, sometimes, I'm a very shy person, but when I get on stage, I'm a different person, because I know I transform myself from who I was off stage and to confront the fact that it's a business that I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm working, so I've got to take every sort of I have to allow myself to get into it. But then if it comes to say breaking up and talking and then just going on and being the master of ceremonies, I don't think I'll be able to do that.
No, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, honestly. I think you're right. I think you're right. But I mean, I totally understand. Some people completely shy away from that and they're like, no thanks. And some people love that spotlight and they just want to be right in the front. Yeah. I'd categorize myself as somewhere right in the middle, you know. But there's definitely an element to me where, you know, didn't get enough attention back in the day as a kid from the parents or whoever. So I'm trying to like get that as an adult, you know, from strangers.
Mhm. And with respect to today's millennials, do you think today's millennials are following um, certain kinds of we live in a very different world right now
Mm-hmm.
where social media, for instance, is dominating, is sort of dictating what we do.
Right, right.
And then with the attendant AI coming into the fray of things, do you think we have to sit back and look at the future? Because as millennials, there's a long way to go in terms
Mm-hmm.
of what we can be doing in the future. But I think with AI and the fact that a lot of millennials are also going into businesses and all those kind. Do you think we've come to a point where we have to sit back and say, especially within the community, and say, you know what, let's take stock of what we are getting into in the near future? Because I don't think a lot of people have thought about it. Because we had a program a couple of weeks ago on the Highway 6 to Africa program, which airs every Saturday at 4 p.m. And we're talking about AI taking control of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't sat back to find out what we are going to do because it's scary.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really scary right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
what's your thought on AI coming into our way of thinking in terms of millennials and what we do?
Got you. Well, ever since I saw iRobot as a kid, that Will Smith movie, I was certain that that would be the, the end of all of us.
That's
You
right.
know, I'm still convinced that it'll be robots that inevitably, you know. But for me, I could 100% see the benefits of it.
Mhm.
I can see um, where it can be used in certain conventional ways, and how it's going to, you know, make some jobs, some occupations obsolete, unfortunately. Um, for me, operating as an artist, I guess I'm a bit old school. I do not see the soul of it, and I find that soul is such an important component of art, whether it's music, whether it's visual arts, whether it's dance, and that is something you can't recreate. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, now we have all this technology getting to the point where it's using voices, you know, of famous artists and making and putting together its own songs and that sort of thing. But I think even with that, you lack the personality that comes with the music, and I find that it's taking away from um, the work ethic of some of these young artists, especially because they tend to. I have artist homies now who they don't even reach out to painters or visual artists to do their cover art anymore. They just, you know, go on some AI app that makes it instantly, and it comes sort of expedites the process. Um, and at a certain point, it's like it feels very factory. It feels inhuman in a way. It takes away from, again, the soul of it all. So me personally, I'm trying to stick to keeping, you know, art as human for as long as possible. I think the AI stuff is inevitable, but as that sort of progresses into the future, I think we're also going to find that live performances, stuff that you can't replicate, is going to become more valuable than ever. People are going to want to go to live shows and have a live experience, you know, that you simply can't get from artificial intelligence.
Okay.
What's up, Al?
Hello.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. This is the voices of the millennials. The millennials are going to take it over. So over to you, Elle.
Thank you so much, TYB.
It's a pleasure to
Uh,
meet you. Much love.
yes,
Thank you.
I was hearing the conversation from my commute in. As TYB said, weather in Toronto, where we're streaming from live today, is not that great. I
Okay.
think all over the GTA, we just had our first snowfall It
Yeah.
happens every year, y'all. So, first snowfall for the fall season, and I got caught. So, I appreciate you, rolling with the punches. I know you to be a very down to earth person
Mm.
who, adapts easily. So, this was my test. You passed.
Wow, that was so well coordinated. Yeah, I appreciate you continuing to put my mutability to the test. I
Yes,
hope you're not
yes.
sweating over there. I hope you're not stressing because it was a lovely conversation with TYB up until this point. So,
Yes,
yeah, you're
amazing.
here. You made it safe.
I
This
did.
weather is like me. It doesn't know what it wants, what it is. Am
It
I
doesn't know.
am I rain? Am I snow? Am I black? Am I
What is
white?
it? I thought it was hail today. Like, I was
Yeah,
just like, oh my God, I'm canceling everything. I heard like little pellets hitting the car, and I was like,
yeah.
no. And then it was, as you said, snow, sleet, all of the above.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's doing what it's doing. Life is lifing. And I was getting to hear a little bit of the conversation. It was sounding very lovely. I got to hear some of the answers to the questions I was hoping to ask as well. So, but I'm glad because I love, honestly, something new. A new challenge always presents itself so far with every episode. Usually I'm in the right place, and then we're having some tech issues with others. But
Ah.
this time it's me. And so, but what I like about it is that it always gives me an opportunity to think about how I'm going to get over this opposition. Like,
Mm.
and today was one of those ones where I was, racking my brain to utilize all the resources it has. And I guess it made me think of some new questions that I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
especially having learned, I didn't know this about you before, that you were a psych major and that you dropped out to pursue a creative career. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I did not.
Yes. But don't
Um,
tell the people who look at my resume because
what
it's
does
still
it
above
say?
it.
It's like I
It's,
completed this. No, I went. I started in this year. That's all you. That's all they need to know.
that's all I
That's
need
all.
to know.
That's it. That's it. And it's
Yeah.
interesting for me because I do every time like we get to engage in a certain space, I find out I think a new thing about you that I realize we have another commonality.
Mm.
First, it was that we're both have parents that are from Guyana,
Bam bam.
and we're both in creative careers.
Yes, sir.
Entrepreneurs, I would say, making a living, making art.
We,
And
we're
now I
Pong
find out,
athletes.
yeah, oh yeah, oh my God, we won. Like, and it wasn't even like what was like water bong, I guess. But anyways, it
Right,
was all
right.
about getting the balls in the Cubs, and we came back from nothing.
Just pure dexterity and willpower.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Thank you for that reminder.
You're welcome.
So, we are also very good at games that require like you have to have like precision for that. Like you have to
Yes.
be thinking ahead. There's a lot, strategies involved.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, a lot, a lot. Kudos to
Sorry to
us.
interrupt you, by the way.
No, that's good. That is good because that is another commonality, and I love that. And then now psych majors because I also did psychology when I once upon a time when I went to school and
Oh
thought that
shit.
yeah, I
Oh, can
thought
I
that
cuss? By the way, is that
I
should
think
I hold
so.
out? Okay,
Oh,
cool.
I think well, okay. We should always, when we can, reserve. But that
Right,
was you
got you.
exclaiming, your surprise at yeah that I also did psych. So I think
Yeah,
we're okay. I think we're
cool.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
TYB will let us know. He'll write to me and be like, "No, don't do that one again." So far, so good.
Okay, cool.
So and yeah, so we're both, into psychology, and it explains so much to me because I'm really in love with a lot of the content that you create online, especially
Mm,
when it comes to thinking about your mental health in different ways. So just confronting your mental health as if it were like personifying it, making it into a person, and then talking to it and breaking it down so that you can break through to like a better understanding about it, especially that last one that you did that I saw, which was talking about this weather. And sometimes what this weather does is some people get affected by the season changing and
mhm.
they might experience seasonal depression or even other mental health anxieties or issues like anxiety will
Hmm.
ramp up or intensify. So,
Yeah.
and I really love that you made your like sad, your, depression into a person that was trying to beat you up, but then you found ways to overcome it with like the way that you spoke to it. So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, where does your love for psychology, like what made you even want to get into that as something to study? And then how hard was it for you to say goodbye to that and move into the space that you are now? Although I see you
Mm,
get to still use it. You still get to use it. So
yeah.
yeah, let us know.
Um, honestly, I think it comes from just having a traumatic past.
Mm,
Growing up with a particular family on either end. I'm half Guyanese, half Irish specifically, and both Caribbean culture and Irish culture are stereotypically repressive cultures who tend to stuff those emotions down, those deeper emotions down, and use things like comedy to sort of curve that sort of stuff. Um, but I felt when I was growing up, I just didn't have an outlet for all these emotions I had inside, and I didn't necessarily have words or terms to put towards certain behaviors I would see from family members or friends that would, hurt me or harm me, and that I'd ultimately, have to figure out in my head. And I think that the best explanation I can give for why I initially went into psychology was um, I wanted to I wanted to gain more empathy. I wanted to find understanding for why people who I love would act or speak a certain type of way that might be harmful to both themselves or somebody else, um, and to dig deep and find answers towards that. To I guess before healing and spirituality became a big thing in my life, to heal myself and to hopefully heal others and teach others. So that was what initially drew me into it. Um, and I don't think I was too. I don't think I ever mourned schooling or that sort of thing, formal schooling in terms of psychology, because like you're just getting at, I kind of I can't escape from it. I incorporate it into everything. If anything, I've learned more about psychology from what I studied outside of school, outside of the textbooks,
mm,
just in terms of me being that much more passionate about it. Um, and I felt that the schooling approach that I was getting was like study these 3 chapters, then do a Scantron exam, and rinse and repeat. And it felt very it didn't feel like things were sticking unless they really had a lot of meaning to me. So I had to go outside of my way to learn uh, that sort of stuff, and I continue to do that through my music, through real life experiences, and through just actually reading literature and that sort of stuff. So I don't mourn it because it's never really left me. It's still such a, a big factor in my life.
that is beautiful. I love that. And for something that I was wondering about as well, are there any lessons that you learned within psychology, other than the one that I brought up, that you like use within your music right now, like in your art?
Mm, mm. Um, yeah, for sure. For me as a music lover, one of my things that draws me to music in general is that a person can give their individual story that's completely unique to their perspective, but it still resonates with me. I still feel like they're speaking directly to me, or I have an experience of my own that sounds like they're singing about, killing me softly type deal. And so I try to do the same with my own lyricism. I try to not only write affirmations towards myself, but write in a way where it's accessible to listeners who might not have the individual experience I do, but they can still have something to take away and something that resonates with them.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I really resonate with that thought. The idea that a lot of, I don't know, the pieces that I really think that have made an impact in other people's lives are the ones where I spoke in that voice of
Mm.
almost like I'm talking to myself, but then when you listen to it, it might feel like you're talking to me. And whether or not I've had an experience like that, I could learn something from the music that you're putting out. Yeah, that's such a great intention to put behind your music. And I'd love to know, like, when did you start, the way that you rap right now, which I would say you're very prolific, like you have a lot of intention behind what you're saying. There's really elevated lyrical content there. It seems like you're well researched, well read. And so I just want to know how much of that I'm assuming is true. Like, where does your inspiration come from? Is there elements of what you used to study, like even within how you craft your bars?
Yeah, for sure. I love that question, by the way. My biggest influences, specifically within the realm of hip hop, are um, very conscious, if you will. Conscious. I know it's a stereotypical term at this
I
point, but
know.
just
Are
lyricists,
you
people.
woke?
you know, I still think that's important. I still support that stuff to the fullest, just in the right, definition of the words, not the
Mhm.
politicized versions. But um, I grew up listening to MF Doom was huge for me, and
Mhm.
he has very cryptic lyrics, but stuff that if you really dig deep, you can find some lessons in there. I didn't have the strongest father figure growing up, if any. So I routinely looked to, people who I idolized as a child, which were, these MCs, these rappers, who were older than me, who were giving lessons, sometimes not great ones, but they were speaking their truth. They were doing shadow work through their lyricism. Um, Artists like MF Doom, Talib Kweli, Mos Def, Nas, um, who seem to have a self awareness, but and also a deep poeticism to them. Those are the artists that influence me the most, and I find that I'm trying to do the same when I write. I'm very, I call myself the best pen in the West End. Um, Not so much because I think I'm that much better than anybody with the pen, but I am obsessive when it comes to writing. Not only am I
Mhm.
looking to rhyme just the last two syllables, bird or like bird, word, third. I'm trying to rhyme the entire bar, but then also
Yeah.
make it legible, also make it, not be nonsensical. And to do that, it takes a little bit more time in TLC, but I find that just the way it resonates and um, the quality of the feedback that I get makes it that much more, I don't know, motivational for me to keep coming like that.
Mhm.
I couldn't simplify if I tried, honestly.
And have you always written that way, or did that evolve at some point? And what were some of
Hmm.
the things that might have influenced that? Like when you really started realizing, like, yo, I could rhyme the whole bar. Like, was there anything that influenced that? Also, because I'm
Yeah.
asking for a friend.
Got, got you. Yeah, I mean, I started songwriting when I was 11, and it was super duper basic. I remember my first hook. It was, I may not be what you want me to be. I may not see what you want me to see. I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. I may not be the boy you wanted instead. Very basic, like, but
Hmm.
um, I found that as I grew older and my brain matured, and I'm a voracious reader. I love to read. Um, I would just try to continue to outdo myself. I would want to just get as complex as possible. And I think one of the hardest actual sort of obstacles on my path as an MC, as a writer, is finding, learning how to not overcomplicate. Because you get to a
Yeah.
point where it becomes too heady, and then you lose the ability to retain an audience, or have somebody find any semblance of understanding to what you're saying. Yeah, just reading a whole bunch and kind of just continuing to write. It's so simple, but just writing, practice.
Okay, so I have two questions for you based off of that, because I
Yeah.
think that you just dropped like a huge gem right there, which is reading. I've heard like reading come up in so many different um, personal and professional development endeavors that I have taken on recently. Recently, I took on acting, and within acting, to become a better actor, you have to read because you need this imagination to be able to put that into the characters that you're playing,
Mm,
right?
heck
And
yeah.
so, that being said, it wasn't something that I thought went together at first, that, like acting and reading. But then for me, I recognized, just as you said, even with writing music, writing poetry, I definitely saw how those went together. But it's all about building imagination, being able to like tell a story, as you said, because when you're able to tell a story, people can follow a story. There's a beginning, middle, and end,
Yes.
something for them to even learn from. There's a structure to it that we've become accustomed to. And so I'm curious to know how you were able to build your structure. Are there any, and what kind of books are you reading now? Or
Mm,
any books that you would really recommend, either to an artist or even just in general? This is a book you need to read, really change my perspective, help me write differently, write how I'm writing now, anything like that.
gotcha. That's a good one. I feel like no one particular book or genre has really. I mean, I just read the most random abstract stuff, but a couple books that I've read recently that are were super informative and helpful for me was first one is King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, which
King,
is
warrior, magician, lover.
yeah.
Wow. Tell me about this book.
So it's a
What?
really cool book. It's essentially it does lean towards a male audience, but anybody could read it honestly. But it's essentially discusses the four main archetypes found routinely in stories and history over the years that represent sort of the most ideal versions of man.
Hmm.
Those archetypes being the king, who's somebody who brings order, and people can find uh, order through them. Then you have the magician, somebody who um, manipulates magic, which can also be translated to technology. Maybe somebody who's really inclined when it comes to uh, any sort of study. Then you have the warrior, which is somebody who is just definitively um, attacks their goals. And then you have the lover, which is somebody who appreciates the aesthetics of life, the beauty of life, and all the things that come with love and relationships. Um, it's a really cool book that meets in the intersection of psychology and spirituality, which is two topics I love dearly. So, yeah. Oh, and now it's just me. And this is the portion of the show where I do an impromptu rap while we wait for Elle to come back. Let me think of something. Psychedelic sound in that 2K era, but the style that I found make your mood way better. Never ever dumb it down with the Lupe tell you.
Yes, always
Yo.
finding a way. What is going on today with my life? It's all good. This is
This
how you get through breakdowns, y'all. You keep on breaking
trust.
through. You do
Yes.
not let it stop you. You
Nope.
keep going. That
Yeah.
is the kind of, I'm very tenacious.
Yes.
I'm
You
proud of
gotta be.
myself.
I'm proud of you too. You know, it's Scorpio season. It's a real testing time. It's a real trying time. I
Honestly,
You're not alone. I've had, not only people but seemingly the universe come for me as of late and, basically ask, are you really about what you're doing?
thank you.
Are you really gonna show up through all the nonsense? So yeah.
That's it. That's it. I always ask myself this question when things get really hard, but it's almost like it's this other person asking me, like you were saying, like it's like the universe
Mm.
comes down and asks me, like,
Yeah.
how bad do you want
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
do you really want to make
Yeah.
it? You said you wanted this. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I saw this meme the other day. Something that I believe in is, trust the process.
Hmm.
Hold the vision, trust the process. And I saw this meme the other day that said, like, the
I saw
person's
that.
face, right? They're like, does
Even
the universe know I'm trusting the process?
it made
Does
me
it?
laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does. I really enjoy those memes. They really help me get through.
Yeah.
Um,
To know you're
and
not alone in that,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And then people like you, I must say, thank you. Because seeing you when I come back and you're rapping, I missed the best part. I really enjoy books. So when someone
Yeah.
breaks down books, because I have zero time to read these days,
Yeah.
it really, I love it. I love it. So where I was at, sorry for the other listeners, but I need to
You
hear
good.
about the last two. I heard about the king and the magician, and
Yes.
then it went wonky.
Okay. Oh yeah, king, magician. So there's the warrior.
Mhm.
By the way, these are archetypes that anybody can embody, whether man, woman, whatever. The warrior is sort of that spirit of getting things done. The warrior's gonna attack. They just know to attack. They know how to execute, and that's something that we can embody in ourselves. Sometimes we hesitate. Sometimes we're in our emotional bag, and we just don't attack something. So that's that warrior energy. Then beyond that, there's the lover. A lover archetype is not just somebody who leans into love and relationships, but somebody who appreciates what life has to offer, who sees the beauty and the aesthetics, and who appreciates the arts and that sort of jazz. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
And so that book, now you were saying that that was one that has influenced you in your
I
writing and your
mean,
creativity.
it's one I've read lately.
Hmm.
I don't. I think every book has the if you're if it resonates with you, if you appreciate reading it, if it's not like a freaking bore to page through, I think that any piece of writing can inform somebody's own writing and influence you, even if it's a news article. Honestly, if it's written in a certain way, if a certain idea is expressed and presented in a certain way, you never know what gears it might spark in your own brain to start turning.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. Honestly, the things that I read every day, even the most inane things, like, I don't know, like a grocery list, all of a sudden turns into a story to me.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these days, like, I try to get the reading in wherever I can. Like I said,
Uh-huh.
I think I have time to read. I'm not making the time to read, so I'm not going to make that
Mm,
excuse. And I'm hoping the
right.
universe can help me out on that one. And definitely throughout this, as it gets colder, that's one thing I like about it getting colder. More time to read. So
Oh,
everyone, go out and make sure you read that book. I think I am going to pick that one up. That has like all of my favorite archetypes or like
hell yeah.
characters, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
that seems like a storybook. So I'm
It's
very excited
definitely,
about that.
yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It was recommended to me by a woman, and
Mhm.
I put it on my to read list. But I also had this like initial, funny enough, this initial like hesitation of like, what's this book gonna tell me how to be a better man?
Yeah.
There's definitely some humility I had to step into before I really dove into it. But when I did, I was like, God damn, this is great. It was super inspiring.
Okay, we love to hear it. And I know that, we talked a little bit about psychology, some of the things that influenced you maybe from that world, but are there other influences or other places that you draw inspiration from for the art that you're making right now, or even the art that you've made in the past? Like any places that were unconventional?
Heck yeah. Um, I love super obscure references, whether it's a cartoon or an old movie. I'm a cinephile myself. I love movies. I love films. I love
Hmm.
the experience of going to a theater, specifically IMAX when I can. But yeah, man, I never really go down that realm of thought. I kind of just I write from an emotional place a lot. So what
Okay.
if
So
I'm
if you're
feeling?
actually going through it, then you
Yeah,
write about it? Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think my lyrical bank that I reach towards to grab my stuff, I mean, I think it's informed by everything I've soaked um, in sort of a spongy way. And when it comes to sitting down and writing, me in particular, um, if I come across a certain production, I go, how does this make me feel? What scene does this paint for me? You said you're getting
Mm,
into acting as of late, so
yeah.
what does this make me feel, personality wise, character wise? What does it embody to me? Is it sad? Is it somber? Is it uplifting and groovy? And I usually take that, initial emotion that hits me, and then I just expound on that. um, so okay, it's somber, it makes me feel sad. Okay, maybe I'll start writing about daddy issues, and do a whole song about fatherlessness or something, you know
Okay.
uh,
Interesting.
mhm.
Interesting. And do you, for me as an artist, when I write music, I usually either just have words that, like you said, like I'm just in this emotional, I'm in my emotional bag, and I just start spewing out some things and filling it up. Or I hear a beat and I'm just like, oh my God, I have to write something to that. And
Right.
then I try to think of something to write to that. Or I look in my emotion bag and I'm like, do any
Hmm.
of these work? So I'm
Right,
just
right, right.
curious to know about for you, because I know you're an amazing freestyler. Like, there are just words. Like, I feel like you are words. Like, if word was a
Stop.
person, this is you right there. You're the dictionary. Like,
Damn.
so
Thank you.
yes, I'm picking your brain to understand like how did you become this lyrical monster?
Um, well, if we're talking about freestyling in particular,
Yes.
um, so half my family lives or used to live on the Western Strip, and that's where I would go see all my Guyanese fam. And
Okay.
I was one good thing my father did for me when I was young was bring me about around my cousins who are like my siblings now. I'm an
Hmm.
only child technically, so I was able to bond with them in a certain way that was just felt very like sibling esque. And we would freestyle a lot. We would, in the early days of YouTube or LimeWire, try to find some instrumentals.
LimeWire.
Yeah, we, young, innocent me would download, illegal music. I don't.
Ha! No.
I was a child. I was a child. Something.
Mm.
I think it's past the time. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
Finally, torrents are dead.
yeah. But yeah, we'd freestyle a lot. We'd try to, or we'd write together. I would try to make them laugh or make them break their necks from my bars, my basic bars. And there was also a website. This is a deep cut, but it was called letsbeef.com, and you would
Let's
essentially
beef.com. No, I never heard of this. What?
So this is in the era of like PC microphones when they were just like one like piece, and they look like those game show sort of microphones like on
Yes, yes,
Jeopardy
yes.
or
Like
something.
Bob
Yeah,
Barker
yeah,
and
yeah.
The Price is
The
Right. I was just
quality
talking
was
about that.
very low, and our voices were very high because we were prepubescent. And you would essentially
Hmm.
go on, and it would put you in a little AOL-esque chat room, and you would essentially battle rap somebody from all the way in another country or that sort of thing.
Whoa.
It would be over a beat, so you'd have to get your timing and everything. It would usually devolve into your mom sort of insults, but yeah, that was like that was an early, an early tool that put me on my toes in terms of like thinking of bars and rhymes on the spot. um Again, just like anything else, practice makes perfect. So the
Hmm.
amount of hours I've spent just like rambling with friends of mine who also love to freestyle, just putting on like a Jay Dilla instrumental album that's like
Ooh,
multiple
yes.
hours long and just going to town, you know.
One won't do, but two is not enough for me. No, yo,
Yes,
honestly,
sir.
Jake, you're pulling me way back. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Really going into, voices of the millennials. Like, these are the
Mhm,
things that we grew up on, like these chat rooms. And
mhm,
I didn't even know they had that. But it makes sense because I do think, you know, I would say the 80s, early 70s, but definitely the 80s and 100% the 90s, which is like our era and early 2000s. Hip hop has just taken over and influenced almost every single thing that I have been a part of that mattered to me.
Yep.
Something that you mentioned early on when I was listening in the car is you were talking about how the the reason why you really gravitated towards certain artists is because they were just talking about their experiences, whether they were negative or positive, but it was them being authentic about what they were going through, and that's what made it so relatable because
Hmm.
they're speaking about a human experience, and if you can get to that level in your thinking, then you're able to see how that their experience and what they learned from it is transferable to so many things that you may have gone through or will go through. And that's what I really love about hip hop is that
Yeah.
like that it just makes me feel like somebody went into my brain. I said this today on a chat about the celebrating the 50 years of hip hop and cultivating communities
Mm.
because of what hip hop has been able to bring to us. And I would love to know, I was asked a lot of questions about hip hop today. So I'd love to know from you how hip hop has helped you to cultivate communities, and where you think it's going to take you. And if you can answer one more thing, because
Mm.
I know you have a show coming up, so this is all contrived why I'm asking. And I know
Mm.
that you build community, so I'd love to hear about your upcoming show and any upcoming things that you have when it comes to using hip hop to change the world.
Okay. Okay. First question.
Yeah.
Community. Community. Um, Man, I have. When you grow up biracial, I think that you naturally feel like a black sheep. Specifically, I guess in my case, a half black sheep, where
Hmm.
you don't necessarily fully fit into any given demographic, even your own family. You feel like, my auntie still calls me her white nephew, and and then when it comes to the Irish side, like I'm the blackest mofo around.
Yeah.
So um, I found that it didn't happen right away, but I did, get into my craft at a young age, at 11, and I think through that, not only was I able to find myself and discover myself as I grew and I matured through writing and through the music and expressing myself in that way, but then when I started, you know, um, doing open mics and putting myself out there, I think, I had tracks from MySpace days that were doing some decent numbers, and so there was a bit of a buzz in my ends, and um, artists would reach out to me, like even in high school times, and um, I was lucky to meet up with a cat in high school who was essentially the 40 to my Drake or the DJ Premier to my
Um,
Guru, and that was somebody who introduced me to what it was to have your own home studio and make your own music, um, and sort of that helped me curve the part of the industry that was just only after my money and not necessarily my friendship or my camaraderie. Um, and then when I started putting myself out, more music videos, utilizing YouTube in the very early days and that sort of thing, um, artists would reach out to me, and I would slowly start to build this Rolodex of other people who are passionate about singing or rapping. Um, I was also in bands in high school. I was in some like rock rap bands and that sort of thing.
alternative hip hop.
Yeah, Rage Against the Machine cover bands and whatnot. Um, and so I was able to find my tribe in that way from early. Then beyond that, I think one of the real amazing things that hip hop has provided me, specifically in terms of community, is being able to connect with um, fellow Black people. Honestly, fellow melanated folk
Yeah.
out here who are operating within that scene. Um, the amount of Jamaicans, everybody, but I mean, Jamaica's really like such a big influence and such a big
Hmm.
population out here, that yeah, in pursuing music and being able to connect with those type of artists, people who come from Caribbean roots, um, it's been so huge for me in terms of like discovering myself. Honestly,
Yeah.
I went to predominantly white, grade schools, high school as well. I grew up Catholic,
Whoa,
so
more commonalities.
hey, all right, and yeah, so I mean, the crowd there was not my own, and then I had my family, obviously, but I wouldn't be around them all the time necessarily.
Mhm.
I was raised in a single mother household. Dave Chappelle is a joke. My parents uh, put me in a position to grow up, broke around rich white kids, and that's essentially where I was. And anyway, but yeah, that's what hip hop has done for me, just bringing me closer to not only myself, but other like minded folk. Who I wouldn't trade for the world. The people I've
Mhm.
met through this music scene um, are people who I've not only met on a path that's completely aligned with me and what I want to do in this life, but also what they want to do. And when those alignments come together, it is serious magic. And one of my favorite things as an artist now, who has a bit of a buzz and a nice Rolodex of other artists, is bringing artists together and having that communal feel of seeing what it'd be like if this artist homie who might not have never ever been in a room with another artist homie, what would their dynamic would be like if they came together at my home studio for a
Mm.
session or a show that I was putting on. So, um,
It's
yeah,
true. It's true. I
yeah,
see that. I do see
yeah,
that. It helps you to become this like master curator. Like you bring, hip hop has these elements and you get to like infuse those elements in your everyday life or bring these shows experiences together. It's yeah, it brings people together. And as
yes,
you were saying that, I definitely felt more of my blackness being in the hip hop community. That's
mm,
when I started to feel like I got credit when I understood rap and stuff like that. Then
mm,
because me, I look black, but inside everyone's like, "What? You sound white." Like so
mm,
that was it for me that I grew up looking black but not feeling black all the time. Like
yes,
my R's are too hard,
right,
So
right.
yeah,
No,
so
and that can be honestly tough because, you know, when you don't have that confidence yet and you're young, it can be really terribly influential in the bad way to
yes.
have somebody tell you what you are, who you are,
And that
and
you're not
yeah,
enough of something.
yes, yes, yeah,
Like,
yeah, and then you have
yeah,
to be, you have to talk or act in a certain way to be part of a community.
right.
Is ridiculous, and you realize as you mature. But yeah, it's when you're a kid, it's
It
harmful.
feels like the world.
It
Like it
really
does. It
does.
does.
It
And
really does. But yeah,
I want to
I
make
mean,
sure that I talk about your upcoming
yes.
show
So
before we get out of here.
getting back to community feels,
Hmm.
a group of artists that I've been very blessed to come across in my travels in this artistic creative journey are the band Bitter and Broke,
Yeah.
which is a three-piece band. Um, Jay, Yoshi, and Aaron, incredible musicians. So talented in terms of free form. They can play, they're multi instrumentalists, they're hip hop lovers themselves. They are putting on a show with another artist, Juice, Big
Ooh,
Juice. Um, Both who I was lucky to have on my lineup in my first mini music festival that I put on earlier this year. Now it's
yes, yes.
coming, it's that karma goes back and forth. Now they're bringing me onto a show on the 16th, next Thursday. It's
Let's
called
go.
IDFK Studios. I don't fucking know. Studios is the name.
Yep, yep, yep.
And I think that it's a house party theme. So I'm gonna be coming with some house hip hop vibes and maybe another couple songs that haven't seen the light of day
Oh,
as
I
of
have a
yet in a
special
live setting.
guest. Come on in. We were just talking about
Ooh,
you. I know. This is
ooh.
alignment right here. This is alignment.
What's
Alignment.
going on?
Yes.
Who's
So
that?
I'm
Oh,
speaking of half.
My
yo,
We're
guy.
talking
what's
about
good,
your
man?
show.
My
Literally
guy.
just talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in a studio right now, and he's about to rehearse.
Hey,
And we're coming to the end of our show, but look at that
yes.
alignment. I was kind of hoping that might happen. Yeah, so that you would all see, we're really in this. These creatives.
Yes,
This
sir.
is, Voices of the Millennials having an elevated conversation with Hap. And Big Juice.
My guy.
Yes, yes. These are both
Yes,
artists
sir.
that I get to work with. And make sure you check both of them out. I'm going to get out of here so the Bellas and the Biz can get in. And Half, thank you so much for all of your hospitality. You know, we will chat. TYB, take it
Hell
away.
yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Appreciate
Peace
y'all having me.
and
Peace, y'all.
blessings.
Peace,
You already
peace,
know.
juice.